So yes, let's start. Welcome everybody to the second builder call we're having. Um, Today is going to be, I think, a very exciting day because we're going to demo a lot of stuff, and at the end we will have an AMA where well every builder can basically ask the entire team uh, almost everything they want. So the agenda for today, we're going to start out with the learning platform. Then we're going to talk about a little bit more about the layer two we're working on, how you can use it in one of your dApps. Then we're going to talk about Marmalade V2, the new features that are coming, the docs, um, uh, Kadena.js, the packed LSP, and after that, the AMA. Um, so we're going to start out with the learning platform. And for that, Davey is going to, I guess, take over and showcase some of the new features he worked on and give you a little insight of what is coming. Um, so here you go, Davey.
Yep. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly share my screen here. Okay, so let's build the future on Kadena. So a learning platform. Yeah, it's if you connect on the learning platform right now, you probably see something a bit different. Actually, maybe you're gonna see this already, because been pushing that live today and testing a few things, so maybe it should be already available. So the idea there is, when we started the learning platform, we were thinking in terms of let's put the tutorials on the platform. And at some point, discussing with the team, Randy, we realized that it's actually not a tutorial platform. You can do tutorial, but you can actually think of it as an academy, as a place where you find tutorials, challenges, cookbooks, actually workshop, and then we thought, okay, if we put this together, how should this platform look like? So we came up with a brief design, because the work here is to make it work. And then there are two brilliant people, Isa and I believe Silvana is also there. They would probably take that and give it a different spin. But my job here is to make sure that this thing works. And in terms of working, so we got to implement the challenges. They're working really well. The documentation will take you to the doc website, a few tutorials, and the workshop. So, and then if you go a little bit further, you're going to see that the tutorial could be, you can actually merge videos, tutorial, plus markdown tutorial in the same bundle, right? And yeah, it's basically what you have already right now, plus a few more things. So let me show you live what you could do, because I didn't really give you a full picture there. So here I'm on the dev environment. It might break, but I think it should be okay. So let's see, for example, for the tutorial, I'm just gonna go with I'm gonna start with the workshop here, because that's probably something you didn't see compared to last time. And then I will show you a cool features that came from Yikyun, who during a call said, hey, how can we make sure that people can quickly start a workshop or a jam without having to clone and everything like that? So let's go with the workshop. The idea with the workshop is, we're gonna have once a month at least. We were thinking with Randy to start with once a month, and yeah, the workshop, we pick a topic, and for 2 to 4 hours we go really deep into it. So next week, next Friday around this time, we're gonna have a workshop around playing with Kadena.js to explore the Kadena blockchain. And yeah, you get a description for the workshop, a little bit of more detail about the workshop, you know, a workshop. But there is something that's going to be special about Kadena's workshop, right? Otherwise, why would we even build it if it's not something really special about Kadena? So look at this. So when you log in on the platform, so I'm just going to log in here, let's say as Eddie. Here, you can even use Kadena email. So right there, what's gonna happen is a few things. So I'm just gonna log in with that. So I need to get the link. Okay, sorry, Docker, yes. I'm just using a Docker image. So when I sent an email in development, it basically logged that in on my Docker container. So let me quickly get that link. There you go. I have a link here. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm on the prod version. I didn't even realize that. Look exactly the same. So I got an email in my prod version right there. So doing demo in prod. But yeah, you get an email, and with that email, you can actually connect to the platform. And then one of the things that didn't really change compared to last time is the fact that you get 42 Kadena learning token. But here the focus is on the workshop. So I'm going to go back to the workshop and try to register to that workshop. And what I'm trying to show you here is something that is really specific to Kadena. So Kadena, we're going to be adding a learning token, like specific to Kadena. And when you start, we give you 42 tokens. And a workshop isn't actually free. If you look at it here, you can actually pay with your Kadena token. And here is the trick. When you join a workshop, you pay the 5 KLT, but if you actually complete the workshop, we reward you by giving you another 10 KLT. So here, for example, if I join the workshop, you see it's at 42, and it should be able to just go to 37. And then now you should receive an email and so on with more detail, including the Zoom link that will be used for this workshop, right? But what are we going to learn during that workshop? Well, a few things. We're going to talk about Kadena, the Pack.js, and then the Kadena client here. And then here at the bottom, we give you links to things you can use to prepare for the workshop. So let's get, for example, this one. Getting started with Kadena, it's just what we call a gem. And it will basically allow you to start playing with it before we start the workshop. So here I have a gem. And a gem, you saw it last time during the first call, right? We have a bit of explaining we explain a bit what goes into the gem, and then I'm going to start the gem. And I'm then gonna go and show you how instead of cloning things, you can actually do the gem directly in your browser, right? So right there, when the gem starts, I have a few options like this, including a code editor, right? So you can clone it right here. You can just clone it and do that on your own machine, or you can go to the code editor. And what's going to happen here is it gives you basically, an online code editor where you can run Node, and hopefully in a few weeks you will be able to run Pack directly in there. And you have some instructions on the left, right there, and then you have a preview on the right, and just the folder that you need to focus on and get the work done right here. Here at the bottom, you see we have the test running and the preview of the app right there. So we actually built an online IDE for Kadena in the browser that will allow you to quickly spin out an example and see if it's working with a live preview and so on and so forth. So here if I quickly, yeah, you can make space because, as a developer, you like to have a lot of space to see what you're doing. And let me just go back here in instructions. We have a few instructions here, but the thing is, as you're building it, you're following this tutorial, you actually seeing live what is happening here. Actually, you can all go on academy.kadena.io and you should be able to see to access that workshop, that gem. You should also be able to subscribe for the workshop already. So that was a little bit, I was like, I had a call with Randy this morning and I was like, maybe we should be able to send the invite, but right now you could already go there and subscribe. And for everyone that was on a waiting list, I think we're closing out on the number of people that received the invite. We will just invite more people this evening, and in the invitation, they will also receive the invite to the workshop. They just have to accept it, and they will be part of the next workshop. So still work in progress. On the technical side, dealing a little bit with performances, but we got a fix this week, and it will probably go live this afternoon, end of the day today. Yeah, so that basically it for me.
Yes, thanks, Davey. One other feature, yeah. Big round of applause. One feature we are going to focus on in May as well is creating the actual certifications on chain.
Yeah.
As well as the actual learning tokens.
Yeah. So these two, and then we're gonna write a tutorial about it, and you will be able to access them directly here on the Academy platform.
Yes, exactly. Thanks. People dropping in now. So thank you, Davey, for the nice explanation of what we did with the learning platform. So next up is Hyun. She's gonna give a small intro of what we've been working on with Marmalade V2.
Yeah, hi everyone. We have some exciting updates that we can share for Marmalade V2. Just going through the items, we have our policy manager and policy standard, manifest update, and some ledger updates, and some methods that we are going forward with NFT discovery and migration strategy. Can you move the slide, Randy? Yeah, I know that some of you have already been looking at our working branch, the concrete policy branch in Marmalade repo, and also giving feedback, and we all appreciate the feedback. And now we are moving to our V2 branch. So if you look at Marmalade repo and go to the V2 branch, you'll see at least some idea of how the V2 contracts will look like. But it's still we're still finalizing, so note that when you're testing with the new branch. So in Marmalade V2, all tokens were bound with one policy, and that made the builders to write the policy and study the code before they can use the token with the policy. And of the deployed policies, we're also seeing like similar code being used in several policies, which can be not be duplicated if we're using multi-policy. So in Marmalade V2, we're making the token creation more easy for builders that aren't really familiar with Pact by providing a multi-policy model, which allows token policies to be composable. So we're handling the token policies in the policy manager from the ledger now, instead of calling the functions from the mod ref from the policy. So all tokens now store token policy schema, which include 3 fields, concrete policies, immutable policies, and adjustable policies. And just to give you an idea of how concrete policies look like, we have written 4 concrete policies that provide the basic functionalities that we were seeing. Yeah, this is the token policy schema and concrete policy schema. So of the 4, so the first one in the concrete policy is a collection policy, and this will allow tracking of token collection and the collection tokens. The fungible quote policy will provide a sale of NFTs with fungibles. And non-fungible policy is a simple policy that limits the supply of token to 1 and precision to 0, making the token non-fungible. And the royalty policy depends on fungible quote policy that takes percentage fees from the fungible quote sale. And tokens that only want these part of functionalities can simply turn on these feature by putting a Boolean value in the token policy parameter. And for tokens that want further configurations or logics, they can put additional policies into the immutable policies list or the adjustable policies list. Immutable policies are policies that are bound with the tokens and cannot be moved out. And adjustable policies are the policies that will provide some utility features and that can be rotated out. And if the token creators don't want any of these concrete policies, they should turn off all the concrete policies Boolean values as false and just put in 1 single policy into the immutable policies and leave the adjustable policies out. Yes, that's the multi-policy model that we're providing with V2. And we can go to the next slide.
Yeah. My computer just crashed.
Oh, can
So
I share
start
my
talking
screen?
about the gods of Devos, right?
I'll see if I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Is my screen shared?
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of our biggest updates. Our manifest is moving from on-chain to off-chain. And this is because we're seeing different looking manifests, and we cannot provide marketplaces or wallets without these setting up these standards. And so we have defined our own on-chain schema with an example you see here. And of these fields, name, description, image are required, but the properties and the collection is an optional field. And properties would store some arbitrary values that some games or dynamic values can be stored and changed. And the collections will be used for the tokens that are part of the collections. And if the projects do require on-chain storage of data, they're welcome to do so by creating their own policy. But we have decided that it's not reasonable for the ledger to store different looking manifests and for different tokens. So, and also, even if the tokens want to store on-chain using their policies, they should also provide off-chain URI with the defined schema if they want to be compatible with the Marmalade tools or the marketplaces. And some other changes in the ledger. First one is the token protocol hash is changing because we're not storing manifests in the ledger anymore. So we're hashing token details instead. And token details is a newly defined schema that includes URI, precision, and the policies, token policies schema. And we're changing the time unit in the sales timeout. It used to be block height, and you had to calculate the block height to see the expected timeout. We're using the time type of packed now. And we have been using module and pack guards inside our Marmalade contract, and they are going to be deprecated. So we have changed them to capability guards, which is going to change some namings of the escrow accounts. And for NFT discovery, which is the count lookups of the tokens, token lookups of the accounts, and token lookups by the collection IDs, we are not going to provide that in the contract itself. Instead we're going to provide a indexing server with Marmalade events where you can query the lookups, not from the contract, but from the events. Yeah, so these are major updates. We are, for the migration from V1 to V2, we're going to keep V1 for a while because we know that it will take time and work to get the migration going from V1 to V2. We have a lot of changes, and we expect the contracts to be rewritten for the migration. So we will keep V1 for a while, and we will provide some migration guides that will make the migration easier. That's it for Marmalade updates. Any questions?
All right. And I got my computer up and running again.
Mm-hmm.
So
you have it, so I'll stop presenting.
Yes, let me share the screen. Yes. Thank you for the update, Hee-Kyun.
You're welcome.
So next up is Isa. Isa has been busy with a lot of stuff. The main thing he's currently working on is the whole redesign of the new docs website. One thing he did on the side, which is really nice, is created a whole new font for all the coders at Kadena. The font is called Code with a K. Yeah, I want to give you the floor, Isa, to demo a little bit about this as well. And after that, you can tell more about the docs website and stuff as well.
Sure. Thanks. Hi, everyone. So yeah, as Rennie mentioned, one of the things that I was busy with, now this slide is open. It was the Code Mono font typeface, and that was actually submitted to Google 2 weeks ago. They have been affected by the layouts, so they're a bit slower than normal. But thankfully, this morning, one of the designers / developers there at Google Fonts, they reached out saying that the font looks pretty solid and that we are able to continue. So we're looking forward to that. For those who know how to find it, it's available on GitHub, so you can download whenever you want. You can search for it in Google. I think it will be pretty straightforward to find, but it's still in submission progress. So hopefully that will end soon. But it's not in our control. But we're doing our best to create this typeface also because of the way we kind of look at the whole experience we want to give the developers, and that goes hand in hand also with the docs website. So we have redesigned the whole docs website to extend our support and to make it easier for developers to find certain stuff on the docs. So one of the things that we will be doing is, let me also take over the screen. share now. Hope you can see all on my screen. So this is the main landing page, and this is the dark version, dark theme of the landing page. For each page, we have, of course, the dark and light theme as normal. But what we try to do is to make all the content accessible, because we're going to bring all of it together. It's also very important to yeah, for everyone to find anything they are looking for. So in this view, you can see that we have these sections and the main sections, and then we have the search, the most viewed docs. These will be dynamic, of course, and then a personal space where you can pin certain documentation which you frequently use, and then we go from top to bottom, actually from the more general stuff to the more detailed stuff, and that is like browsing by product, by resource, and also in the last section you will find the latest updates across all the products that we have or services, and at the end, we hope you never get here, of course, but if you can't find it, then you could also reach out to us. But this is, as I said, the main section. And one important thing that we are also are going to implement is the search extending or making the search better. We're looking into the 7 docs integration for the search, where you actually can query like you would do in ChatGPT. So you would get AI answers that would hopefully solve your problem in a quick way, or at least lead you towards the solution. And all of these pages that I'm also going to show you is going to be in MD files, so in the repo. So everyone who wants to change something or has a suggestion or wants to add something to the documentation can freely do. So that's also something that we want to support. We're currently busy implementing that with MarkDoc, and that is something that is also widely used in the enterprise by enterprises for creating docs, professional docs. So as you can see, this is the section landing page. In this case, we took Pact as an example. Once you land on the Pact, and you can also see in the top navigation that Pact is selected, you have a kind of section landing page where you can find all the information specific or just related to Pact, but that could also be across different products, of course. Again, we have the same layout to make it easier for the user or the visitors to kind of find their way. On the left side, we have the navigation, and as we had on the main landing page, we also have the latest updates here, but this is mainly for the Pact-related updates. And if we move one level down, we have the actual documentation page. And this again has the sidebar. You have a notification bar at the top and an in-page navigation at the right. The documentation content is in the middle, and then you have inline code possibilities, if you like it or not, the references, and everything as usual. From every page, you have access to search, and that's by pressing the /. And you can also see it in the top right corner. By pressing it, you will also have the same search features available as you have on the main page, and then you can navigate through. And one other layout is the code page, where you have the code next to the content. And this is also very familiar, I guess, for you all. And I will also quickly show you the responsive views in light mode. So this will be the large desktops, the small tablet, the tablet views, the phone views, and also for the other pages the same. So we have a menu on mobile, and the same goes for the sub pages. And yeah, this is actually how it looks like. And my great friend Stephen is already busy with this site, with development. And yeah, we hope we can ship this as soon as possible.
Thanks,
So
Isa.
that's it. Thank you.
Yes. It looks really nice. Do we have any more questions about the new Docs website? All right. Then I will share the screen again. Yeah, I'm very excited about the new Docs website, especially also the 7 Docs integration, when we can have some AI help for searching. Kadena, yes. We did a release this week, where we included the pre-flight integration. We did a lot of work on the UI components part to actually, make all the cool stuff Isa just presented for the Docs website. And we're also working on the milestone for Kadena client. Hopefully that will be ready within 2 to 3 weeks, the milestone. So that's what we did on Kadena.js. We also, for Pact, we released, like I think a lot of you already saw, the Pact LSP. And this is actually going to prepare us for creating a better IDE experience, and creating better tooling for Kadena, for the Kadena ecosystem. So if you haven't read the latest Medium article on that, or if you maybe have some questions about this, please reach out to us. It's one of the real cool features that just got released as well. So yeah, I think we are all through we have seen all the demos. So for now, I want to basically open up and see if anybody has any questions. To do a quick AMA, we can ask basically everything about what we just presented, or maybe you want us to know some stuff what we're going to focus on in the future.
I have a question. Yeah, how you guys doing? On Marmalade, I know a lot of people are kind of talking about it all over the place right now. Hyun, do you know, or Randy or anybody, kind of like a approximate timeline when you guys are looking to release that? I'm not looking for like, hey, we're gonna release it in 3 weeks, but like, what's the goal? Are you talking, days, weeks, months at this point?
So our contract, finalizing contract, I think it's gonna take some. It's gonna be ready in a few weeks, but we want to deliver Marmalade V2 with full documentation and like toolings with that make Marmalade token creation very easy for like everyone. So for the full launch, it could be more than a few weeks, but we just don't have the plan for now. But the contract completion, we are just seeing a few weeks to take. So maybe if it would help, we can deploy the contract first before we launch the full V2. But I this is just my thought. It's not discussed. But if you, it depends. We can also take inputs from you guys. Would it help if we have the contract ready so you guys can build up on it?
I was just going to ask that. So the documentation is going to be, I think, invaluable. And that was obviously one of the things that made V1 difficult, other than V1 just being difficult at certain times. And some of us, learning through that, it's maybe not the best experience. And this is more just a preference. I'd like some time with this contract at least to sit on testnet, so that I've got all my, for me, and I know we just talked about this the other day, but I've got my contracts ready to test V2. I want to start testing my front end without having to use DevNet. So the sooner it can get up on testnet, and I think it's really important to say subject to change, but make sure you guys are in a comfortable state where you're not planning on, wholesale changing any of the interfaces or module. But really just having that time for everybody to sit down and test a branch of their code and really just go through that process. And I think that should happen, again, it's my opinion, but that should happen before, well before release, so that we've got time to kind of wrap our heads around it and actually test it. And I think that's just probably applicable to anything at this point, especially with the way blockchains work. And I do think, though, releasing it when everything's ready is probably the best strategy, but at least getting us something to test. I think if you can separate those two things, I think that's more what I'm asking for. I'm not asking you to push a release date. I'm looking for, I want to continue my testing now, and I want to see it in my live environment, at least my live test environment, because that's where I start to find issues even in my own code.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think on testnet, we could, I can say for the date, but we'll make sure that we have something on testnet so you guys can test on it. Maybe not even the same Marmalade name, but some beta. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something what we want to do. We want to go live very gradually. So indeed, we are going to give you the time to actually go test it before we actually release it with all the docs and stuff like that. Yeah, at least I think that's the most difficult part on Marmalade V1 was there were almost no documentation. Everybody was saying was making their own implementations because of not everybody understood what was already there, because Marmalade V1 actually already had a lot of capabilities. It just wasn't documented. And was I don't want to say mistake, but that's something we want to prevent happening this time as well. So we want to give you the full experience of all the docs, all the examples out there, and even maybe create some sample depth as well on top of this. So we're also dog fooding our own technology. And with your help, with the builder's help, to try stuff out, that would definitely help out as well.
Thank you.
Great question. Any more questions? Yes, George. You want to read it out loud, George, or do you want me to read it? All right. So George asked a question regarding the lookups of events for Marmalade, the streaming server, Chainweb SSD, where it seems to be dependent on Chainweb node as well as the Chainweb data. You don't have a mic, no problem. Seems to be dependent on Chainweb node as well as Chainweb data. I wonder if it's really needed to depend both on the node and Chainweb data instance. I think events can be harvested from the node only if scripted well. And that would be easy for adoption because the chain of data could raise the bar on requirements. Because chain of data is not easy to maintain. I can attest that from experience. Yes, so we are currently looking into this as well. Tassos he is the one who built the SSC server, and we did that for a reason that we depend on like both, and it was mainly for orphan detection. We didn't want to like send out orphans where people thought it was finalized, and then for one moment in time, the event was on a different fork. So that's basically why we needed to depend on both. We are looking at possibilities to only depend on one instance, the chain of data instance. But we wanted to give something, we wanted to put something out there already. And that's, I think the nice thing about this is we can give something workable at the moment, and we can adapt it on the hood while people are using it. So make incremental updates to the Chainweb SSC server. So yeah, we are looking into this. I think it's a good point, because indeed Chainweb data is not easy to maintain, but it's also maybe something we can look into in the future as well. So thanks, George, for the question. Hopefully that answers your question as well.
If nobody else is going to ask, I'm going to. We got time. Yeah. I'm going to ask another question. So, for Kadena JS, what stage is that in right now? Is that considered like quasi production, actual production? Should we be using it?
It's still an alpha because we haven't getting all the features over. We haven't gotten all the features over from Backlang API. Also, continuations are still a thing, which currently isn't supported in Kadena JS, at least not in Kadena client. And we're currently working on that. So when that's finalized, and actually we have a milestone. We created a milestone. Let me see, milestone 1. When all these items are basically solved, then we're gonna come out with a finalized version.
Can you put that link in chat?
Yeah,
I can't read it. I want to go take a look at it. Is there like if we let's see. Is that like anybody can go in there and see this? So if we wanted to make a recommended, okay, so we could take a look at this and make some of these changes, and you guys could review them.
Yes, that would be awesome. Even if you can pick some of these items up.
I'll take care of the README if you got the rest.
Yes, for sure. All right. Good question again. Any more questions? No. Then if you have any more questions, for sure, reach out to us on Discord, Twitter, or whatsoever. I want to thank you all for a nice build goal again, and I wish you all a good weekend. Have a good one.
See y'all. Have a good one.